understand, somewhere in Santa Fe there's supposed to be rain today. And I hope each of us receives some of it at some point. Even if it's only for 5 minutes, which of course is possible. Happened yesterday. Well, I'm very excited about today's conversation because we sometimes spend an awful lot of time, I don't mean awful, but a lot of time, looking at what seems to be missing, looking at what feels like it's lacking, looking at what we would like to be different. And I'm not saying to not notice those things or to pretend that they're not there. I mean, good luck with that. But that, even according to Carol's readings, which were perfect, and it's me again, Lord, it isn't the way to change it. What we lose sight of when we're distracted by our own challenges or challenges that are going on around us, what we lose sight of is the truth. Now, I know that's a big statement to make because what appears to be happening and what feels like it's happening feels true, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It feels really true. When we ask the question, though, do I know this is true? We might find a loophole because it's not a match to the truth. The truth is consistent. The things that we're distracted by are not. Mm-hmm. The truth, and I know that truth is kind of a weird word to use, but I'm using it for a reason. So just hang in with me, please. This one life that is all life, that it must be our life because it's all life, it is consistent. There is no time, no way, no reason that it ever behaves differently. It's always the same. And if it wasn't always the same, then we would have it and something else. And that's possible. Because there's either only one or not. And if there is one life, one power, one presence that is all life, our life now, and there's another one somewhere, what do we do with that? Mm-hmm. It gives us one more thing to worry about. That's what we do with that. And there's no reason to worry about it because there's only one. Yes. And it doesn't matter what we call it. It only matters if we call it. Amen. It's me again, Lord. Now, why do we even need to call? Well, before I talk about why we need to call, and I finish the conversation that I started last week about how we call, let's talk about the affirmative. What are we latched onto? And is everything that we are latched onto affirmative? What are we attached to? Is everything that we feel attached to actually attached to us in a way that we would? Is it giving something back? Is it feeding us the way we want it to? And so let's say it's not feeding us the way we want it to, and we're still attached to it feeding us the way we want it to. What are the chances? Not great. Because whatever it is that we're attached to that isn't feeding us the way we want it to has its own ideas. Whether it's a who or a what, or except for animals, you know. Animals are the exceptions to everything. But people definitely have their own ideas. And they aren't always in alignment with ours. Have you noticed? They're individual. And not only are they not always in alignment with ours, they may be the total opposite of our idea of what they should be thinking. What they should be thinking. In the meantime, we're at odds because within ourselves, because we don't understand what it is that is in the way of them thinking the way we think they should. Well, everyone has the opportunity to live their life and reveal their truth as they choose and as they believe. We're wasting a lot of time in somebody else's lane trying to get them to think the way we want them to. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, we're not spending that same time in our lane wondering why in the world that's so. There is no doubt that the time that we spend wanting someone else to think the way that we want them to think or behave the way we want them to behave, or, you know, fill in the blank, make the choice we make, we're not paying attention to what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We're not paying attention to what we're feeling. We're not paying attention to what it is that we're it's certainly the effect. We spend, in some cases, a lifetime developing beliefs that don't necessarily serve us. Now, maybe they did at one time, and that's great. But there comes a time to notice that they aren't serving us now. And we have the opportunity. In fact, we have an invitation. We have an invitation, as Mike Dooley would say, and Ernest Holmes. We have a standing invitation to change our mind.
Mm-hmm.
To recognize whatever the changes that we seek is already seeking us, because that's how it works. We, if we were really listening to every word that Carol read this morning, what we would have heard is that there is a realm of possibility waiting for our direction. It's not random. It's not waiting for anybody else's direction for us. It's waiting for our direction. So the time that we may spend feeling attached to not knowing, we could be knowing. The time that we spend feeling attached to not having the answer, we could spend feeling really solid in knowing the answer is provided. The time that we spend feeling attached to anything that isn't contributing well-being to our lives, our inner life, our outer life, anything is not making a positive contribution to our life, we can change our mind about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about making anything or anybody else anything. I'm not saying anything about making anybody else anything. I'm talking about us. I'm talking about our personal authority. We have spiritual authority over our lives. And how do we exercise that authority? First, we take a minute. I like to say take a breath or two. You're breathing anyway. Use it for something. Take a breath. And then remember that everything you want or need lies. Everything you want or need. One of my very favorite quotes of Ernest Holmes, which is at the end of The Science of Mind, is in the form of a very, and that is, right here and right now, I recognize that everything I need is at hand when I need it. That is confidence.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't woo-woo confidence. That is confidence that what sustains the life out there that we can see, the windows, the trees, and the weeds, and the grass, and everything, what sustains all of that does at least that much for us.
Mm-hmm.
We aren't asking it for more than that. We don't need to. Because it lives in the same realm of all possibility that we do. But when we are looking at not having a relationship, all we're seeing is the not. Isn't that weird? Ernest Holmes says that it's good to remember that what we are looking at, we are looking for. And what that means is that we are looking at the lack of relationship from a place of belief in lack.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you to wear your seatbelts today, I'm sorry. But if you stop and think about it, what are we latched onto? We're latched onto these appearances that can change in a second into their total opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they change in a second to their total opposite, oh, I knew I could do that. When they change to their total opposite, do we go, oh, wait a minute. We say to the other person that just walked into our lives who's perfect, who is exactly what we have been open to and looking for and welcoming, we say, wait a minute, I've got to look for the one that's. Do we do that?
Yes.
Some people do. Yeah. Sometimes.
Well, I'm telling you, if you tell the one that just walked into your life, the perfect person that just walked into your life, the perfect answer that you've been asking for, that just appeared, what's my favorite place?
Out of the blue.
Out of the blue. And you say, oh, time out. Wait a minute. I've got to find what's missing. I've got to find what's missing. I've got to find what might be wrong here. I've got to find what might go wrong here. Stop. Honestly, latch on to the affirmative. Hold it, treasure it, latch on to the affirmative. It is at the very core of every breath we take. There is nothing in our lives that appears to be missing that is missing. We're looking with the wrong eyes.
Yeah.
Something you read this morning, I think, or it was in your prayer, it said something about looking with spiritual eyes. Our spiritual eyes see things our human eyes don't. Now, how can that be? Because our spiritual eyes know no bounds. So, spiritual eyes can even look at a situation that we just find so uncomfortable and horrible and impossible to understand. Our spiritual eyes, just stay with me on this, our spiritual eyes can look at that and look beyond what's happening. Look beyond what's happening to see a circumstance that has resolved into beauty. that has resolved into harmony, that has resolved into peace. Our spiritual eyes can see that, but we have to go like this. We have to practice using them. Because if all we look with is our human eyes, then we find ourselves changing every judgment we've ever had about anything or anybody. How's that going so far? We're going to see, and we are going to believe that that is the condition that we are living in or others are living in that has no hope of being different. And we're all aware of things going on in the world right now that appear hopeless. They appear hopeless. We must exercise and practice using our spiritual eyes to see beyond what appears to be hopeless so that we bring the hope to the hopeless. Mm-hmm. We bring peace to those who are living in peace. We bring harmony to those who are not living in harmony. We have the capacity to do that. And we don't have to form any kind of huge group to do it. Individually, we have the power to do that.
Yes. Yes.
But we have to intentionally use it. When our attention is drawn to what appears to be unresolvable, we have to bring the consciousness of resolution that serves the highest good.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't have to know what it is. And believe me, even those of us who think we know what it is because the picture is so much bigger. We don't have to know the answers. We just have to know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that is beyond every situation, circumstance, and event. There is that which is not subject to any of that. That which is never touched. That which is never harmed. That which can't be made larger or smaller. That which simply is whole. And that exists. And how do I know it exists? Because everything else exists. That's how I know. I have seen miracle after miracle after miracle happen in people's lives in ways they could not have conceived. You know, that's part of our issue too, is latching on to the positive. It isn't necessarily our version of the positive. Be surprised. In fact, God loves to blow us away. Oh, you think that was good? Wait till you see this. So being so attached to our our conceptions, to our beliefs. And well, this, if this is going to happen, I'm going to use you as an example because you always let me. If I my house, then I have to have the inside of my house painted, and I probably have to change the blinds, and let's see what else.
White flowers.
Oh, and I'm and I love you, but that's all made up. You want people at your house? Invite them. Come. We'll all come. And in fact, we're all going to be invited to her house in August. That's the truth. Or July. We're all going to be invited to her house in July.
And it may or may not be painted.
And it may or may not be painted, and the shutters may or may not be changed. And you know what? Nobody will know. I remember somebody telling me once, don't vacuum before company comes. They never look at the floor.
Yeah, they do.
Looking with spiritual eyes. Look with spiritual eyes at our attachments. And just see. First of all, are we in our lane? If we're not in our lane, if we're messing where we shouldn't be messing, it's another song. There's a reason those boots were made for walking. Sorry. Use those spiritual eyes. Remember your spiritual authority. Remember that individually we have the capacity to bring love, bring light, bring hope, bring peace to wherever we send it. And what's totally irrelevant is whether or not we can see the effects.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I got to wrap up in a hurry here because we have a book sale to have. Last week, I walked you through spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer, right? Step by step, we walked through it. In the middle of an affirmative prayer, in the middle of a spiritual mind treatment, the bullseye in the middle is where we affirm what it is that we are welcoming, listen to these words now, welcoming as change, welcoming as shifted, welcoming as new in our life experience. The bullseye is not an opportunity to play or beg. The bullseye is an opportunity to affirm, this is really important now, and you can believe you need for next week. It's an opportunity to affirm that what we desire already is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And next week, we're going to walk down a road called mental equivalence. If our mental equivalent, if the picture we have in our mind, if the picture we have in our heart of what it is that we are praying for, what it is that we're affirming, if we don't have a mental equivalent of that in its perfect state right now, even though it's not here in our experience right now, it exists somewhere right now,
Mm-hmm.
or we wouldn't be able to imagine. So I'll just give you that to think about for a week. Have a good time. And so it is.
So,